Okay, moving on to the next topic, I want to talk about, oh, good grief. It just breaks your heart. I mean, I've said it on the website many times that our Lord is angry, and rightfully so. I mean, what a absolutely degenerated society of child sacrifice and sodomy and theft and moral degeneracy and sacrilege this has become. And, he's had enough, and he's angry, and we're being punished. And one of the manifestations of that wrath is bad clergy. And now we have Pope Francis, who on a near daily basis just sticks his foot firmly inside of his mouth and creates a horrific mess. And I keep telling people what's really, really bad about this Francis situation is that every time he comes out and he says something like what he did in this manifesto, or just these off the cuff remarks that are just wrong and some of them are heretical or borderline heretical, is that we will be just beaten over the head with everything he says until our Lord returns in glory. When he says that we need to stop obsessing about abortion and sodomy, until our Lord returns in glory, the enemies of Christ and his church, Satan, will use these quotes to just cudgel us over and over and over again, and don't think that he won't, and don't think that it hasn't already started. I mean, what if we get to the Supreme Court with Obamacare and this HHS mandate? I mean, all the Obama regime would have to do, all the Solicitor General would have to do, is stand up and quote Pope Francis. You people need to stop obsessing about this. With regards, to the sodomites, who am I to judge? Well, there you go. We're just going to be used with all of this. We're just going to be cudgeled with all of this until the consummation of the world. But specifically, what I want to talk about today is this whole Islam quote that he made. And what I want to do is first I'll read it, which I believe it's paragraph 253 from the Apostolic Exhortation, which I am referring to as the Manifesto. And then an exercise that I like to go through is I like to take paragraphs like this that reference Islam and switch all of the references from Islam to Nazism, and then read it again. So that's the exercise that we're going to do right now. Okay, here we go. Paragraph 253. From the Apostolic Exhortation. In order to sustain dialogue with Islam, suitable training is essential for all involved, not only so that they can be solidly and joyfully grounded in their own identity, but so that they can also acknowledge the values of others, appreciate the concerns underlying their demands, and shed light on shared beliefs. We Christians should embrace with affection and respect Muslim immigrants to our countries in the same way that we hope and ask to be received and respected in countries of Islamic tradition. I ask and I humbly entreat those countries to grant Christians freedom to worship and to practice their faith in light of the freedom which followers of Islam enjoy in Western countries! Exclamation point. Faced with disconcerting episodes of violent fundamentalism, our respect for true followers of Islam should lead us to avoid hateful generalizations, for authentic Islam and the proper reading of the Quran are opposed to every form of violence, unquote. What a pile of crap. All right, I'm going to reread this paragraph, and I'm going to switch every reference to Islam out with the appropriate reference to Nazism and the Third Reich. Okay, here we go. In order to sustain dialogue with the Third Reich, suitable training is essential for all involved, not only so they can be solidly and joyfully grounded in their own identity, but so that they can also acknowledge the values of others, appreciate the concerns underlying their demands, and shed light on shared beliefs. We Christians should embrace with affection and respect the Nazi immigrants to our countries in the same way that we hope and ask to be received and respected in countries of Nazi tradition. I ask and I humbly entreat those countries to grant Christians freedom to worship and practice their faith in light of the freedom which followers of the Third Reich enjoy in Western countries. Faced with disconcerting episodes of violent fundamentalism, our respect for true followers of Nazism should lead us to avoid hateful generalizations, for authentic Nazism and the proper reading of Mein Kampf are opposed to every form of violence. Does that help? Do you see how ludicrous this is? And if you're wailing and gnashing your teeth saying it's an invalid comparison, oh no, it isn't. They are both satanic political systems, hell-bent on global domination through military aggression, and both have a shared desire to exterminate entire races of people. Now, with the Third Reich, the main focus of that was the Jews, although there were other ethnic groups that they were absolutely looking to cleanse Europe of and the world of as well. Whereas Islam, it can be argued, is just looking to exterminate everyone. They're looking to exterminate everyone, and the only people that would be left would be people who capitulate and surrender to Islam. And then even then, the truth of the matter is that because it's a satanic system, even when you quarantine them and leave them to themselves, if there aren't any non-Muslims around to kill, they just start killing each other. I mean, the lion's share of the killing and the violence that goes on is Muslims killing other Muslims, this faction against that faction. I mean, every single day somewhere, it seems like, some bomb gets detonated in front of a mosque. Because, if they don't have any quote-unquote infidels to kill, they'll just turn on each other, because the whole thing is just a satanic, animalistic orgy of violence. That's all it is. So this statement is it's utterly ridiculous. It is wrong. It is completely, totally wrong. There can be no confusion or debate about this. Anybody who twists themselves into knots, trying to make this or interpret this as anything other than abject falsehood is frankly pathetic, dishonest themselves, perhaps. I mean, the statement is itself dishonest. Have these people, has Pope Francis, or the ghostwriters, the people who helped him write this document, have none of them ever picked up a Quran and just leafed through it? I don't know. If they have, then this is willful deception. If they haven't, then that's some sort of a sin of omission. How in the world could you make a statement like this, having not personally researched it yourself? And it's not as if this is difficult. I mean, all of this is widely available on the internet. You're telling me that these people have no access to a Quran? They have no means of getting their hands on even a paper copy and just sitting down and looking at it. This is insane. So there's a good website, thereligionofpeace.com, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I don't need to spend a tremendous amount of time on this. But they have a section here. What does the religion of peace teach about violence? And there's this entire huge page. Dozens and dozens and dozens of quotes from the Quran and then from the Hadith. Just every single one of them. Violence, 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 open-ended violence, violence as the cornerstone, as the foundation of the entire political system of Islam. I don't need to read a whole lot of them. Let's see. Which ones did I want to hit? Quran 8:12, I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, therefore strike off their heads and strike off every fingertip of them. What more needs to be said? And it's not like that's just a one-off. The entire Quran just goes on and on and on. The one that's really easy to remember is Quran Surah 9, verse 5, 9 to 5, like the movie, the Dolly Parton song. That's how I remember it. So when the sacred months have passed away, then slay the idolaters wherever you find them and take them captive and besiege them and lie in wait for them in every ambush. Yeah. What are you talking about that there's nothing in the Quran about violence? Every chapter. I mean, it's hard to get through a page without finding some exhortation to physical violence. This whole notion that the whole jihad, it's just a spiritual struggle. That's, sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. 1,400 years of nonstop violence, of a political system just rolling over everyone and everything that it possibly can, spreading this political system, coerced quote-unquote conversions. Either you convert to Islam or we will kill you. That's how the whole thing, that's how it began. That's how it spread, and that's how they keep these people in it. Apostasy is a capital offense. You leave Islam, and they catch wind of it, and you're in one of these Islamic countries, you're dead. You're dead. You're not shunned, you're dead. Why do these people, why don't they leave it? Why don't they get out of it? Why do they continue to go along with this? Because they don't want to have their heads sawed off. The entire thing is kept going by violence. That's the only way anything this evil and satanic could possibly persist, is through violent coercion. And the text itself makes this clear in no uncertain terms. Now, it is not any sort of a surprise to me that this quote from Pope Francis has happened. We knew that he was one of these people who groveled to Islam, and we know this because back in, what year was it? 2008, I want to say. Let me look it up. No, 2006. 12th of September 2006. Pope Benedict XVI gave a lecture at the University of Regensburg in Germany. And he made a quote within this large lecture that just sent the Muslims all into a titter, and it sent all the liberals in the church into a titter too, including Cardinal Bergoglio in Buenos Aires. The quote that Pope Benedict XVI made was this, quote, "Show me just what Muhammad brought that was new, and there you will find things only evil and inhuman, such as his command to spread by the sword the faith he preached." Benedict was actually quoting Byzantine Emperor Manuel II Palaiologos, one of the last Christian rulers before the fall of Constantinople. And so Benedict is quoting or paraphrasing him in this quote, "Show me just what Muhammad brought that was new, and there you will find only evil and inhuman, such as his command to spread by the sword the faith he preached." Okay, Benedict says this, all the Musloids, are up in arms. Oh my gosh, you've offended us. How could you possibly do this? The cardinals, coincidentally, had been called to Rome, and Bergoglio was supposed to report to Rome, and canceled his flight and refused to go to Rome in September of 2006 in protest of Pope Benedict XVI making this quote within the context of the Regensburg lecture. We knew this, okay? Everybody wanted to stick their head in the sand about the history of Bergoglio and what he had done and what things look like and his actions in Buenos Aires. But I had that piece of information within 24 hours of him being elected from people emailing me this in Argentina. So I knew, and anybody who was paying attention knew that something like this was probably inevitably going to happen.